What is up, IDP Army? It's your man Jordan Reigns at 50 Shades of Drunk, back again with another episode of the IDP Army podcast. You already know what it is. We talk mostly IDP, all fantasy football. Great show lined up for us today. 7 more IDP Fantasy Football Sleepers for 2022. I had a really good series on this last year. Really hoping this series can pan out again this year as well. So stick around. We got a great show for you guys and gals. All right, like I said, today's show is going to be focused on IDP Fantasy Football Sleepers. But before we get to that, there's a couple of things we want to talk about. One, I haven't read a review for the show in a while. So we had one come through recently, or pretty recently, and I thought it was a good one because I read the man's former review before. So this comes in from J Backus 33. He says, great pod, love all the IDP info. Says, wrote a review a while back criticizing the host for bashing on others while not looking at their own process. Since then, the guys have done great and continue to put out great info while also looking at their own process and how they attack the world of IDP. Keep it up, guys. Like I said, and I appreciate that, Jay Backus. It means a lot that you would come back and, share a new opinion. I love feedback, whether it is perceived as negative or not. Feedback is feedback. And if you're doing something wrong or not as efficiently, when I say you, I'm talking about myself, I would like to know that. So I really appreciate you, one, calling us on that, and then two, coming back, after, and I, read your former review too, and, hit a little close to home, but again, like it made me adapt, which made me a better fantasy analyst. So appreciate that feedback from you, sir. Long overdue to read that review. You posted at 5:10. Here we are, 7:21. That's my bad, but I really appreciate it, Jay Backus. So there you go for a review. You guys can leave a review for us at Apple. I think you can leave reviews now on Spotify too. So we'd appreciate it. Good or bad, it might get read on the show. And if it's a good one and a bad one, it probably will get read on the show if you do both sides of the same coin. Before we get into the rest of the things, I want to talk a little housekeeping with the guys. I want to give a big shout out to IDP Bomber, you guys and gals. If you're in the Patreon, you know him. If you're on Twitter, you know him. You probably know him just in general. He's on the Facebook groups. He's in all the Discords. He works for Dynasty Nerds, and he is a big part of, he's our community manager. He's a huge part of why we are growing, why I think IDP is continuing to, kind of move forward, because he's really doing the boots on the ground stuff that, I feel like I did a lot of when I was early in my, fantasy analyst career. It's just really getting out there and pressing the pavement, letting people know who you are and what you think and believe, and standing up for that. So reliable for us. He's been a blessing to have as part of the community. Funny guy too. So if you guys are going to be in Canton, he will be there with us. I can't wait to meet him and have a good time. So shout out to Bomber. Want to give shout outs to the guys from the OP as well. Joe, he's been doing some really good stuff for us behind the scenes, kind of helping us button up as far as like being a professional organization. If you guys are going to be in Canton this year for the Fantasy Football Expo, you'll notice what I mean. So definitely make sure that you get there if you can. If you're in Ohio, Michigan, wherever, I don't care, California, drive across the country. It's going to be a good time. Billy, want to give Billy his flowers. He's doing a good job with, keeping us all in line while also shouldering his own solo show, the Dynasty Tailgate, and, the OP show. He's really good at just keeping people on task, making sure things get done. Has a really good football mind. You guys know my opinion on those two as well for Dynasty there. I don't like playing with them because I can never beat them, but that's neither here nor there. Congrats, boys. And then Josh, can't forget little Josh, little Eagles fan. Throw him a little scrap here or there, but no. I love Josh. Also a big part of this community and like what we're building here. And you can definitely tell the production value on the OP shows and even some of our like smaller clips. You can tell he puts a lot of effort into that, and they're really nice. So we're going to try and do more to get those out for you guys, as many platforms and places as we can. We're trying real hard, and we appreciate everything you guys, all the feedback and everything that you all give us. So wanted to give those boys some love real quick before we kind of go jumping into some of the other things we need to talk about before we talk about the IDP sleepers. One of the other things I want to talk about is, I don't know if you all have heard, if If you're watching this on YouTube, you probably know what the Big Dog Bash is. It's the Big Dog Bash is the tournament put on by the Big Dogs Gonna Eat Entertainment or Media. I don't know what they're called right now, which is Nick Ercolano's fantasy branding company. They're selling an NFT, and one of the perks of owning the NFT is you get to be part of this inaugural season-long tournament. Only 1,200 people are allowed in it. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be written in the blockchain. I'm throwing the IDP Army's hat in the ring. I will be there representing us. I plan on finishing number fucking 1, okay? So I need you all to rally behind me. I need you all to get in my competitors' heads, try and shield them some shitty players. I don't know who all is going to mint these things out or whatever, but we got to make sure the IDP Army wins this thing, all right, for the fucking culture. So I'm throwing my hat in the ring with my own money. Nick's not throwing me a free pass, none of that bullshit. We're paying the iron fucking price. We're going to go in there and we're going to fucking take some heads. All right. IDP Army, let's fucking get it. And if any of you all want to get in on the NFT game and get in there with me, compete against me, finish second, third, fourth, something like that, holler at me. We'll see what I can do to get you on the whitelist and stuff. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you to the Patreons. If you're watching this, we're supported by our Patreons. That's where almost all of our income comes exclusively from Patreon. We get a little from advertising. I mean, a little from advertising as far as the podcast is concerned, and even littler amount from YouTube. Okay. So thank you, Patreons. You all are really the ones. You're getting this a day early, number one. You get free live streams and stuff like that coming up in the season, which is going to be awesome. But you guys and gals have helped keep this running through the bear market, last COVID and everything. I mean, we've really, we're a small knit community right now, but I think that, it's really shown me that we've got some wheels on us. And I will comment on that because Jeff Radcliffe actually from FTN just put out a poll like 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago about IDP Fantasy Football. I'm going to try to pull it up here real quick for anyone on YouTube to see. I think I have it bookmarked. Come on, please tell me I bookmarked it. Yes. Your man got a bookmark. Come on now. All right, share screen. Chrome tab, Jeff Radcliffe. Boom. So he asked the question. Here you go. Do you play in a fantasy football league with IDP? And he's got a big following. The answers came back with 4,538 people responded. 36.6% said yes. 63% said no. So that's like a third of the population of the people that answered this do play in IDP leagues. Jeff Radcliffe has 91,000 followers. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of these people are, as some of the comments responded, these are diehards, whatever. He anticipated that number. You can see right here in the tweet below. My prediction is it's roughly going to be 10 to 90. This is the most accurate ranker. This guy gets the numbers, okay? Sometimes the qualitative analysis comes through. People are thirsty. I've been saying it for a long time. It's just the next natural evolution of fantasy football that everybody be playing IDP because we're thirsty for it. Now, I know some of the data says that these leagues don't have IDP. You can go read the comments yourself, but it seems like a lot of the bigger names in fantasy just want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy that IDP is not coming. And oh, baby, we are coming. Okay. Coming big time. Now, listen, if you don't play in an IDP league, I saw some people in the comments too, just saying, I don't even know how to find an IDP league. If you're watching this, if you made it this far into the video on YouTube, thank you. Reach out to some people and invite them to play in IDP leagues with you, because there are people out there looking for IDP leagues that don't know where to find one. I'm not a league commissioner. I suck at that job. I can try to push people in the right direction, but you all need to feed me some leagues that you're in with IDP, and I'll get more people involved because people want to know. There was a handful of guys, probably 5 or 6 in the comments, and gals, saying, I want to play IDP, but my league mates don't want to, and I don't know anyone else that, where to get going. We got to fix that. Okay. That starts with us. The buck starts right here. The buck stops here. Okay. That's enough rambling. Appreciate you. Again, hats off to the Patreons for making this possible. But let's get you what you're really here for. Okay. You really came for the sleepers, the 2022 sleeper list. These are my 7. These are my third group of 7 for you guys and gals. Let me make sure this is all set up properly. All right. we'll kind of blow through these pretty fast. Some of these guys are going to be, again, they're sleepers. They're not, I'm not saying they will pan out, but there are some things that could indicate that you're going to get some major value on these players. So let's go ahead and get to popping. Whoop! My first man is Chad Muma. Okay, Chad Muma. The main reason I like him, okay, the main reason I like Chad Muma is just because of the team he went to. Jacksonville Jaguars. They need two good linebackers. That's kind of how their system has worked for a while. They haven't even had one good linebacker in a while. Now they have Fosaid Olakun coming in, and they have Chad Muma. Chad Muma went to the same school that Logan Wilson went to. We know Logan Wilson's been very good. Chad Muma was touted as a very good player as well. I don't know a whole lot about his college career, but the guys in the OP, Billy and Bomber both told me that this guy's going to be good. He could compete to be a legitimate starter for your roster every week. I'm taking their word for it on Chad Muma. He is coming up in my rankings as well. Like I said, I don't have a lot of data on him, but the system they run in Jacksonville or have recently run in Jacksonville, two good linebackers are kind of needed. I think that he could, and he's set up in a position to start. There's nobody else there that's really, that we don't know who they are, if that makes sense. So he's my number one sleeper for this video. And like I said, there's two other videos with sleepers. Go check them out on the channel. Like and subscribe to the channel as well while you're here. 2, this is my second sleeper of the day, Camu Grugier-Hill. Kind of went under the radar for me personally last year. Started 14 games for the Houston Texans. 1 interception, 3 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, 3 sacks, only 108 total tackles, 71 of them solo, 37 assists, 13 for a loss, and then 5 QB hits. That's a really good ratio of solo to assist. 71 solos actually put him at 29th in the league with solo tackles. And again, he played an abbreviated season, only 14 games. Now, I did have Christian Kirksey in, I think, the very first sleeper video. He was also a sleeper. It's just because, these guys are going to be far down your draft board because they're not on good teams and they're not big names. So they're both probably going to have some really, really good value. I'd be willing to bet Camu Grugier-Hill will probably be available to you just a little bit later. But either one of them is going to be a good option. I'm kind of projecting them to have another, good season. They were very good for you off the waiver wire last year, both of them. So Camu Grugier-Hill for the Houston Texans, player that I really like this year. If you're going to, for your linebacker 3, you could do a lot worse, and you can probably draft him. There's a lot to like there. Let's go on to EJ Speed. Okay, this is the Darius Leonard insurance package. Okay. Darius Leonard, great player. We all know that. Probably the best linebacker in the NFL. Impact player. Just an all-around athletic monster. They call him the Maniac for a reason. But when he was out with COVID last year, EJ Speed came in and filled in nicely for him. Nothing too crazy. But this isn't just EJ Speed. There's also a Bobby Okereke sort of insurance too, because he can come in and, he's that third linebacker in that group right now that Anthony Walker has moved on. Bobby Okereke, you may remember, was one of the sleepers from last year on this series. Had a really great season. That was one of my big hits. Was 9th in solo tackles last year, was Bobby Okereke. So even if he's only filling in for one of these guys, sometimes there's a really good chance EJ Speed brings you some value, but he's kind of dependent on one of those two missing time. I'll say that. That's why, this is a sleeper list, okay? But Darius Leonard did have back surgery this offseason. Okay, this is the guy that plays like, we call him the Maniac because he plays so hard, and he struggled with some stingers, some concussions, some injuries, ankle injuries. Now he's having back surgery. These are not, I definitely wouldn't put these things down in the positive column, and I'm hesitant to even put a back surgery in the neutral column. Okay, so I don't want to be like, back surgery, he's like doomed, like this is going to go bad. But again, I can't put it in the positive, and I'm hesitant to put it in the neutral. So EJ Speed, a guy to definitely keep an eye on. If you have if you're in a really deep dynasty right now, and you have 2 or 3 bench spots randomly, I know a lot of people some people don't, but I run with 2 or 3 bench spots empty sometimes, just because in the middle of the season, people make moves. If you got a spot, EJ Speed, you could pick up worse players than him right now. just see how this back surgery recovery goes. Right now it's all he's going to be okay, but every day we're inching closer, and we got to see it. So, moving on to our next guy. Now, I really like this guy, Andrew Van Ginkel. Was kind of a power player 2 years ago, not like in like how he was like a huge part of the defense, but man, like he really was though. He was a game wrecker. Had a touchdown, had a fumble recovery. He puts up crazy pass deflections. This is 2020. He had 4 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery for a 78-yard touchdown, 5.5 sacks, 48 total tackles, 7 for a loss, and then 10 quarterback hits. Came back last year, and again, they played a lot of rotational stuff with the Dolphins last year, with Ogba and him and a few of the other guys. But he's really worked his way into what I think is going to be more of a solid starting position. He did start 14 games this last year. He is, he's one of these outside linebacker defensive end guys. So he can play some stand up. So you can get some very high tackle numbers, similar to Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. 7 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, only 4 sacks, but 71 combined tackles, 50 of those being solo, 9 for a loss, and then 20 quarterback hits. So for only having 4 sacks, he was very close to the quarterback often, and he has a very high, relatively high tackle floor. Even the year before, he had 48 total tackles, only starting 11 games. Those are really, really, really good numbers. So for me, Andrew Van Ginkel and Emmanuel Ogba, both players that I am going to be targeting aggressively as my, 3rd, 4th DL players sometimes, because I'm going to be able to get them there probably, especially if I wait till a little bit later. Andrew Van Ginkel could legitimately be on one of your waiver wires right now if you're in a dynasty league. And he played 801 snaps last year. I don't think people have grasped onto the kind of impact player that he's probably going to be this next year. So go get you some Andrew Van Ginkel. Miami Dolphin fans, I know you're out there. I don't know if we're going to have to form a little Van Ginkel club or what, but let's get this boy 10 sacks this year. What y'all say about that? Let's go. All right, Jonathan Greenard. This is going to be a fun one. Another DL player here. There's not a whole lot to say about him. Or about the Texans. I mean, the Texans are such a dumpster fire, but I'll do what I can. Started all 12 games, 24 years old, a little old for a sophomore. Started all 12 games, that's fine. 4 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles. Good. Those are impact plays. 8 sacks. He can get home. But he converted that off of only 12 quarterback hits. So maybe last year he was a little overly efficient. And I worry about that because he only had 33 combined tackles, 23 of those solo, 9 for a loss, though. I will say he was playing kind of a minimal snap count, though. But again, makes me worry about the efficiency. But at the same time, as somebody that was a big proponent of Trey Hendrickson last year, I do think there is something to efficiency. Like, it does come with skill, right? I mean, you don't get better at something unless it makes you more efficient at something. Like, that's the entire purpose. And I imagine most people would agree with that statement. So only playing 413 snaps, starting 12 games, and still managing to get 8 sacks. There's a lot of guys that played a lot more snaps than that. We just talked about one. Andrew Van Ginkel played twice as many snaps, had 3.5 less sacks, 4 less sacks. Yeah, literally half as many sacks, twice as many snaps. So different players I like for different reasons. One I expect to positively regress. One I expect to see more snaps. If he can stay efficient, he should continue to get quite a few points. And if Van Ginkel can keep up his, decent tackle floor, he doesn't have to get 78. Or what do you get? 71? I say 71. 71. He doesn't have to get 71 again. But if he can even push past 60 and then get, 7 sacks. But again, we want 10. But back to Greenard. I like him. He's going to be very, very cheap to you, available to you very late. He's probably going to be a player that if you're in Dynasty right now, you could probably target and go get at 24 years old. You could still do worse. He is on the Texans. There's the opportunity to play a lot of edge snaps, even though he didn't play a lot last year. But we'll have to see. But I like him as a sleeper this year for like kind of a late round DL target, dart throw kind of guy. And I anticipate him to, continue to earn playing time. He's pretty much the only guy in Houston on that defense that seems fairly competent at the moment. So and with some actual upside. So, all right, this is fun. Divine Diablo. This is the safety / linebacker for the Raiders. He wasn't drafted overly high. 23 years old this last year. Played 17 games, only started 5. 1 pass deflection, 1 fumble recovery, 45 tackles, 1 for a loss, and then 28 solo. But it's not a huge stat line. Not something you're going to, probably be like, oh, wow, like I need to get that guy on my team. But he did that on sub 300 snaps. That's a pretty extreme efficiency on the tackles. On top of that, we have the fact that the Raiders chose not to extend Jonathan Abram, who has been somewhat delicate in his career as first-round pick safety. We know the safety market is a big money market right now. And if you were a first-round draft pick, you're going to want some money, especially if you went to Alabama. If you went to Alabama, you were a first-round pick, I imagine you're going to want a big check. While the Raiders have big checks to hand out, they're giving them to Devontae Adams. So, I mean, like they're doing something right, I guess. So it looks like we could be seeing more of Divine Diablo. But the thing I love about him is, he's a safety. He's built like a linebacker. Runs a 4.40, 4.2, 40, 226 pounds. He can get in there and knock some boys around. So in Dynasty, definitely be targeting him. I think he still has a dual designation on Sleeper, which is the platform we love, which gives him even more value and sort of utility for you, for those flex weeks or what may it be. Probably going to be able to get him very, very cheaply. We know Abram can produce well. He did have a good season 2 years ago. Not that great again this last year, though, and it seems like he's on his way out the door. And has, again, proven to be a little bit delicate. Divine Diablo, maybe he takes over. Maybe he becomes a legend. I don't know. He's got the name of a legend. That's for damn sure. All right. And our final sleeper, the final sleeper of this 3-part series, maybe I'll do a secret 4th. I'll tell you in just a second. What's good, IDP Army? It's Jordan Rains, and quickly I want to tell you guys today about the big project I've been working on, the Ultimate IDP Index. The Ultimate IDP Index is the #1 resource for IDP fantasy football players, rookies or veteran for 2021. Inside, you're going to find contract information, tiered IDP rankings, detailed player production profiles going back to 2017, suggested trade values, and a whole lot more, including unique write-ups, unique videos that will only be available within the Ultimate IDP Index. But to me, probably the most valuable thing is the fact that the trade value estimation tool is going to be updated weekly, so you'll always be aware of what a player is worth in your Dynasty League at any given moment. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for the IDP Army Patreon today. Patreon.com/the IDP Army. Join the Black Ops tier and join the IDP Army today. All right. Thank you for everyone that has, purchased or been a part of the Patreon. Quickly, just want to let you guys know we are having a small sale. I've never done this before with the index. I've made it available for a one-time purchase. This is only going to be through the end of this month. August 1st goes away. But you can get the Ultimate IDP Index right now for $29.95 instead of the $13 a month limit. You have to do to be in the Patreon for the rest of the season. That means you'll get it basically for 6 months. It's around $75 value, but you won't, you don't get in the Discord. You don't get all the other kind of benefits you get with Patreon, but you will get the Ultimate IDP Index in its, whole. As it gets changed and updated and ranked, and things get put in there, you will get all of that just like everybody in the Patreon. The thing is, when the season ends, when the last day of 2022 ends, that goes away. So if you want to do that, you can go to my Twitter at 50 Shades of Drunk, and you can click on the little tip jar thing. And if you go to the Venmo, it's linked to our business Venmo. There's an option in there for the $29.95 purchase. When I get that email, I'll reach out to you and I'll get you linked up to the index if you're interested. But as always, the Patreon is where we love to see our people the most. So thank you, everyone who's over there. You guys make this possible. All right. So you want to know that last sleeper? I know you do. I do too. And it's actually somebody that I got to stop and say again, Billy and Joe, they know what they're talking about. Billy called this last year. He said, J.C. Jackson is going to be incredible this year. And he was right. J.C. Jackson finished last year in IDP 1-2-3 scoring as a top 20 defensive back. He was one of like 4 or 5 outside cornerbacks. Well, I know cornerbacks. I think only one of like 2 or 3. No, because Trevon Diggs, J.C. Jackson, and Jalen Ramsey, all outside corners, they all finished in the top 20 last year in IDP 1-2-3 scoring. This whole like narrative that corners are, you can't play a corner in a DB spot is just, it's antiquated. It doesn't make any sense. We have multiple years of that kind of being thrown to the birds. But anyway, J.C. Jackson last year was a total dog, especially with pass deflections. Those are 3-point plays in IDP 1-2-3. Led the league with 23. All right. Typical Patriots, play him all through his rookie contract and then let him go sign somewhere else for $1 jillion. Now with the Chargers, they gave him 5 years, $82.5 million deal, $40 million guaranteed. He has 25 interceptions in his first 4 seasons. That is a pretty big number. 8 this last year, 9 the year before. So when you draft J.C. Jackson, and I put him on here as a sleeper because I was just checking the Fantasy Pros rankings. He's like DB 40 or something like that right now. He's not going to finish that low this year. He's on the Chargers now. I mean, they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. We know he can get his hands on the ball and cause turnovers. He has 25 turnovers in 4 years. Okay. 17 in the last 2. That's wild. Okay. 23 pass deflections. Those are high quality plays. 58 combined tackles last year, 44 of them solo, 14 assists, 2 for a loss. This is a badass player who just got paid and is now on a badass team, right? I mean, the Chargers defense, I feel like we do this every year. So that's why I kind of badass team. But every year we hear about how good the Chargers are going to be. But they did add Khalil Mack. Okay. They still have Brandon Staley, who we were told was an offensive guru genius or defensive genius. So he did go sign J.C. Jackson. We have Derwin James back here. Nasir Adderley, a player who was on the breakout or on the sleeper list last year, turned out to be a really good pick. He's a good player. So why not J.C. Jackson? Do I think he'll have 23 pass deflections and lead the league? I doubt it. After such a big season, you're probably going to regress a little. But do I bet if he plays all 17 games, he has over 15? Yeah. I bet he has quite a few interceptions too, because he hasn't had a year where he hasn't had multiple, even though early in his career, he was only starting 5 and 6 games. So J.C. Jackson, if you want to just punt your DBs and you just want to say, you know what, I'm not going to take the safety route this year. I'm not going to pay a premium for Harrison Smith. I'm not going to pay a premium for, the big name of Jamal Adams or Derwin James. You're going to, and you even want to be sly about it. You want to say, I'm going to whoop my league mates' asses with a cornerback while they're out here strutting around with 3-box safeties. You know what I'm saying? That kind of win, J.C. Jackson's your man. Okay? Shout out to Billy. Shout out to me. Shout out to us. Okay? Shout out to the IDP Army. And that's it. That's your 7 sleepers for this show. You know what to do. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up. Share us with your league mates. Join the Patreon, please, and thank you. And if you want to get the IDP index for that one-click, one-time purchase of $29.99, 50 Shades of Drunk right here. Go to my tip jar. Go to the Venmo, the business Venmo. There should only be one thing in there, and that should be the $29.95, and I will get you in there for the rest of the season. And until next time, IDP Army, see ya.